All right, talking during the movie. Let's discuss Rounders. I will just before we. This isn't necessarily about the movie. This is just more so of when I watched it last night. It took me back because, like I said, I hadn't seen it since 1999, 2000. So I put this on, and it was such a simpler time. It brought me back to 1999. This is I watched this for the first time at Ian Wolleiser's house. With a big salad. There were this is like I when I
Seinfeld reference?
nah, that's just true to my past. Wolleisers had the best salads, but so as I'm watching it the whole time, all I wanted to do was play GoldenEye or Mario Kart on Nintendo 64 because it was just a sign of the times, man. It brought me back. So
It's
it's
very
nice.
nostalgia.
Yes.
Very nostalgia. Trip down memory lane. Definitely trip down memory. One of the things that that we just spoke about here. One of the talking points of the film is that I love the fact that what this film did a very good job of doing was fleshing out all the characters that they really dove into, and they don't wait to do it. It's not like you get piece spoon fed throughout the film, right? They spend at least to me 3 to 4 minutes of bringing in these characters' traits. So first we meet Mike McD. He starts and it starts with a voiceover, of course, but it's showing you like he keeps his money hidden in different parts of his apartment, which means he's obviously been robbed before in New York. That's number one. But number two, he shows that that's also how he plays poker. You can't, if you get this money, you can't get that money. You notice later on in the movie, he says, I can't lose what I don't put in the middle. That's what he's thinking. If I put all my money in one safe, it only takes one incident, my gone.
Yeah.
All right. So that's one of the first things you notice. And also not just where he's hiding his money. They go across a couple of different books that he owns. So that also shows you he's still diversifying with his intelligence. I'm not going to learn just from one person. I'm going to learn from the top people at their craft and make my own style. So that's one of the first talking points I see, the character development with Mike.
I definitely agree with what you were saying about it being like a slow burn, it taking its time. That's one of the things that I really liked about the movie is that it takes its sweet time while still being entertaining, but the first hour of the movie is setting up a crazy last hour of the movie that like all of these dominoes are lined up to fall down in the last hour, and the 15 large in 5 days. So
15 large means 15,000.
I got that much. I understand money terms. I don't know about the when they start pulling out the cards, but it was also Mike gets in the first hour. You see Mike trying it sets him up as somebody that's trying to get out of everything, and at the same time, Worm's getting out of prison and wants him to get back in, and you just know that the gonna hit the fan when Mike's girl leaves because they set her up perfectly as being that character that's grounded Mike in this normal reality, and I'll get to her. But I'm just saying, like, so when they set her up in a way, like, as you as a viewer, you knew that when she was out the door, all hell's about to break loose because Mike is now.
Who was the most excited when she went out the door?
Oh, Worm. Because now it's like, okay, so you went from being in under her supervision, now you're under Worm's supervision.
What do you say, man? It's just like they say, man, in the game of poker, women are the rake. The rake. Like, who says that? What saying?
It's the ingredients for such a great story when you set things up where the lead character has nothing to lose and everything to lose all at the same time. Like, he's like, fuck it, all in. So that I loved.
Okay. One of the other things that I like they talked about and that this film basically shows you is that they don't just, while it is a film and that revolves around poker, still is a standalone film, they show you the different games of poker throughout the film. They're playing Omaha high and low, they're playing Chicago, they're playing high limit stakes and when they go to New York City, when they go to Atlantic City, I'm sorry, once they go there. But one of the things that he says at the beginning of the film, which I resonate with so much, is that Doyle Brunson, one of the four founding forefathers with Amaretto Slim and guys of that nature, Doyle Brunson considers No Limit Poker the Cadillac of poker. And see, here's the thing. I know I only play No Limit Poker. I started out playing Limit. And
what is No Limit Poker? Is it exactly as it sounds?
It's like raw sex and road rash meeting each other.
If I were to sit down at a poker game right now, I would still have no idea.
Okay, so to the people out there, what it is like? Okay, so essentially, limit poker is exactly what it sounds. There's a limit to how much you can bet. You can bet this amount. You know that hey, I can only lose this amount of money. There's been a limit set. I like to ride, but I love my seatbelt. Like one of those things. And
so if you have a problem with excess, you might not want to get into a no limit game if you are the kind of person
if you're
that doesn't
not
know when to stop.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. And see, that's the difference between what they say is a gambler and a degenerate gambler. You have to have discipline, and that's why you always say, "Well, hey, you're a gambler." And I always tell you, "No, I'm a strategic wagerer," because I don't like to gamble. Because now that gambling means I'm making heartfelt decisions that don't add up numerically.
Would you say that Worm is disciplined?
In poker, yes, but not in life.
Okay. In poker, really?
Yeah.
I mean, even thinking about the municipal game?
Yeah, because even before the municipal game, even Matt Damon character says he's like his technique is flawless, but his judgment is off.
He's disciplined to his principles, but his principles are skewed.
There you go. Like, yeah. He feels like there's even later, we'll talk about later on in the movie, even when he gets caught, he's like, hey. He's like happy-go-lucky. But yeah, that's one of the things. One of the other things is that I really want to touch on one of the talking parts of the film is that I always like to do a movie tie-in. And so the first film we did of the season for That's the F***ing Trailer was Black Panther. And one of the things we discussed in that episode when T'Challa became king, it was the ceremony was during the day and the sun was rising, and then when he lost the Michael B. Jordan character Eric Killmonger later in the film, it was the dawning. I mean, it was the sun was setting, so it was falling on the kingdom. The comparison when I saw it this time, I was just like, I'm watching Rounders. I'm like, okay, he sneaks out from his girlfriend at night to go try to win some more money. Clearly, he's been doing good at it. It's at night, and so he gets wiped out by KBG. He loses three stacks of high society, which is $30,000. So that's at night. The very next scene we see once he's outside talking to Joy Kanish is that it says 9 months later. And 9 months later, it opens up with him doing the daytime, doing a completely different job. And so to me, that was done on purpose. It could have been 6 months later, 12 months later. 9 months is the term expectancy for a birth, for a child to be born. So he died that night. Like Mike McD died that night. Then they say 9 months later, he's born into a new life where and I told you, man, I made promises. I can't play. So to me, that kind of blew my mind a little bit.
I won't get too far into this because it's one of my things I'd like to change. But I agree with there is definitely a perfect balance in this movie. The way what was it? Three
stacks of high society. That's 10,000. Like you said, let me get 3 stacks of high society. Because remember, he walks in, he says 500.
So he starts out with 3 stacks of high society.
30,000.
In the end, he's left with 30,000 after the last game with him. Which,
but you're still upset with him, huh?
I'll get, like I said, that's one of that. I love that, but it's also one of the things that I would want to change something about that. But I told you that I thought that I saw one thing in this movie that I think I might, that you may have not have picked up on. Mike has a horseshoe hanging on his front door, and you know what that means, right?
Tell me, David.
A horseshoe is when you hang a horseshoe upside down on your door, it's to signify good luck.
Yes.
I thought that was very ironic. Definitely, I mean, it was
done on purpose.
Oh, I'm sure it was, but it's just because I know that I've told you many times when you say I'm doing poker tonight, I'm like, good luck. You're like, I don't need luck. And I noticed that Mike says something very similar to his girlfriend. Like it's
not luck, it's skill, man.
So what the f- with the horseshoe?
Well, it's just kind of like, no, it's just like, hey, I mean, no, first, let's be honest with you. We both done film. That was a director placement. The real Mike McD would not have had that shit at his door. We both know that. So I love that. That is a very good point. One of the things that really spoke to me, it's about a couple of talking points about the film was that they said, we'll bring that part up later. So one of the other things that they had a lot of good analogies in the film. And one of the first ones they say is right at the beginning. He says he had to wind up driving a truck because he he broke one of the rules that even beginner card players know. Always leave yourself out. And you heard me talk about earlier, I treat life the same way. You diversify things that you can do. You want to be able to say, if this doesn't work, I can do this. If this doesn't, you don't want to go, as they say, all in, which is a no limit poker term, meaning you pushed all your chips to the center of the table. If this works out, you're going to be set. If it doesn't, you're f***ed. So yeah.
I noticed that the movie was made or released on 9/11. Of course, this is '98, so it's before everything. Yeah. But I just thought that was ironic that had a 9/11 release date, and the movie takes place all up in New York and Newark. So that was interesting to me. I do want to say that Abe Petrovsky is a motherfucking saint. What is his name? Martin Landau. That character was between him and John Turturro with Kanish.
Yeah.
Those two characters were like in a sea of sketchy characters. Those two were like the moral compasses on like different sides of the spectrum.
Like he had two different Jimmy the Crickets or something. Like you said, two different conscious. One thing I want to say is when you bring it up, it's a good segue. Was they had a scene to where at the beginning of the film he goes to what they call the judges game or whatnot, and he's sitting in there with those judges. Easily one of the best scenes in the film. But there's a line he says, and of course I've seen this 297,000 times. But apparently upon my last viewing, I heard Mikey say something I hadn't heard before. He leaves the game. He's basically like, any other night I would have loved to lay with these lambs. And so I'm like, it's not about what he's called them. It's like if you call someone a lamb, you consider yourself like a lion, like you're laying with the lambs. Like it's like he knows, like, oh my goodness, I could have just. He sees himself that way. And so in contrast, he considers himself noble, a lion. That's what he does. And then your best friend's name's Worm. I mean, because it could have not have been,
Call me Worm.
Yeah, Les Murphy.
About Worm, I thought it was interesting. Edward Norton, because he did American History X before this. So in American History X, he also plays a character that has recently got out of prison, acclimating in reality. But the contrast between those two characters are so crazy because in American History X, he gets out of prison, he makes Edward Furlong's life better. This movie, he gets out of prison and he practically destroys Matt Damon's life. So that I thought was pretty.
It's good. Not good you say that. I would just say this. It's intriguing you say that because again, that's what lets me know the director was so intent. And again, you talked about it being a slow burn. The reason why you take a chance when you make a film like this and you set up these characters for an hour until like a 99-minute film, because if it doesn't pay off, it's either going to be an A or an F. And of course, I think they came out with an A on this as far as like letter wise, not given just letter wise. It came out with an A. But one thing I did want to talk about, as much as they set up Matt Damon's character of Mike McD, they set up Edward Norton's character Worm. I mean, they really want you. I think about this from the time we hear, before we even meet him. Mike's girlfriend said, what kind of guy's name is Worm? So she sets it up. His name is Worm. So then guess what? From the beginning, they name him Worm. You hear basically we meet him in prison while he is running like 6 different scams at one time. But before we even meet him in prison, you have Mike McDermott's character saying, Warren put us up on a scam a week, from selling kids oregano to having a start in 5, take a dive. And while that's funny, as I'm hearing that, I heard one thing that really stuck out to me. It was like when they got caught for having a start in 5, take a dive, they say the point guard gave him up. They gave Worm up. They said, Worm, we'll go easy on you, or Les will go easy on you. Just tell us who else was involved. He did not snitch. And the point I'm trying to make is that from that point, you can almost say, like, I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but their lives went just like this because Mike says, I got to stay in school. So you got to stay in school, go to law school, and be living this life, while Les Murphy, Worm, is in jail doing this. Nobody, they never really talk about it, but they're living, like, you can almost say that. That's why Worm later on in the film says, why is everything I do so f***ed up and wrong, and everything you do so righteous and good? He still didn't even say, motherfucker, I took the fall for you. He never says, like, the written code. It's like, damn, they're showing you these two different, their best friends going two totally different ways.
Mike feels compelled to be there for him. Yeah, he probably feels guilty.
Of course, is why he turned around at the beginning of the movie after he said he made promises. I'm just going to sit. Bullshit. You're a part player. That's exactly what Worm tells me you are. My cut's 25%. She straightens him up and Get in there.
Yeah. I don't have any more notes on the movie. I just have a lot more questions.
Real quick, and before we go, I just had to get on this talking point. Before we go, what I wanted to speak on was the fact that just show her picture right now and show her name. Because I want to, show her dude. Like, acting-wise, I had no problem with her acting. As a matter of fact, you can almost say her acting was so good that it pissed me off the more and more.
Are you talking about Gretchen Mol?
I know her name.
Okay. But
I'm trying to differentiate Gretchen from the Grinch. Because what I'm trying to tell you happened here was, like, from the fucking beginning. Like, I get it. I get he lost 3 stacks of high society. I'm not knocking that shit. But once you forgave me, fucking forgive me. Don't be holding. Wait, no, you wait. You wait. You said you had no more talking points.
No, I do now.
Oh, I bet Gretchen will do that to you. With that being said, like, dude. All right, all right, I get she sticks by him. Now, this is exactly what I had to write this down because I was just getting so infuriated. Like, okay, he comes home after his night with Worm. Mm-hmm. He didn't get no. He was out. What? You got it. He was out with Worm. They were out. Like, again, yes, he was playing cards, but then she said, and he comes and he's like, hey, baby, come to me. He tries to have coitus with her. Is that better? He tries to have coitus with her. And she was like, no, you gotta go. And then after that, she starts questioning him, like, so tell me something, you weren't this or you weren't that, or something. Like, wait a minute, so you don't want to f*** me, you want to f*** with me. So that's a problem right there. Then, let me tell you, she gets loose with it. Then she says, so you were nowhere near a card game. Okay, yeah, he lied. I'm not saying he's right for it. He lied. He goes and takes the shower. Motherfucking Carmen Sandiego goes through his pants. She's the worst private investigator ever. She
Justifiably so.
Okay, I'm letting that ride. But you go through his pants, and then you sit it up on the thing. Later on says, you know why I left? I found that gangster's rolling your heart. I knew you found it. It was sitting up on the, like, why are you, like, come on.
He was the one playing dumb about it. He put her in the position to have to explain. I thought that would speak for itself, but where'd you go? The wad of money on the counter didn't tell you, and you say he doesn't forgive him. If you're gonna forgive him. She did forgive him, but then he keeps on fucking up.
Because she was fucking with him like, hey, like, I might be hooked up for the summer. Oh, really? Hooked up how? Tell me. All she's doing is gathering information. Tell me. And then he was like, I think might be hooked up with a summer clerkship with Judge Mariachi. Well, she was like, what happened? Well, I went by last night when you guys were playing cards, and she looks at him like, he said they were playing cards. She's like, look, wait, honey, whoa, because that lets you know she beats on him at night. That's the part of the story they never brought it. So he was like, honey, look, I didn't play. And then so he was like, I caught his eye and I read his hand blind, and so I got his attention. And she was like, so instead of coming home last night, you were out playing cards. Like, so she
did not.
How many times have I seen this? She didn't say, but she said that. How many times have I seen this? Fact check. So instead of coming home last night, you were out playing cards.
All right. I respectfully disagree. I think that she is just, one, I don't see her as being like about it in any way. If anything, I thought
you've been bleeping me the whole time.
I thought she was being pretty cool about it. And when he went out all night and didn't even call her or say anything and she's waiting, I was like, oh my God, I would be dead. I wouldn't even come home. At that point, it'd be like, it's time to hit the highway. And then he just strolls in, but better believe, if I was out all night, did not call Angela, strolled in the morning to her obviously passive-aggressively angry with me, my response to her wouldn't be, go ahead and go without me, I'm going to hop in the shower. Like, he's just digging his own grave. You can't blame her for covering it up with dirt. She clearly wanted the best for him.
She wanted him to be a Ken doll. She wanted the best version of him that she saw. And with that being said, furthermore, let me tell you how manipulative she was. Later on in the film, he comes to mute court late. He does come there late or whatever and all this other stuff. So what happens is, like, after Joey Knish shows up, and then
he was preparing to be late for the actual thing.
Right. Well, he had it now. He definitely had it. So after Joey Knish shows up, they leave. Or whatnot, and so when he come back, everybody's going. So the next scene cuts to Matt Damon trying to find. He's like, "Hey, I was looking for you." She's like, I didn't want to be found. Okay, let that ride. Okay, whatever. That's cold. I like that, baby. That's some cold stuff to say. So I don't want to be found. Then she said, and then he was like, well, I'm sorry. She was like, hey, such and such were waiting on you at the lawyers meeting. And then he tries to apologize. He was like, you know what? He's like, Joe, I missed one meeting. She's like, that's not even why I left. Like, God damn. You are trying to set this man. Why did you even bring it up if that's not why you left? The moment she said such and such were waiting on you, he said, I missed one meeting. And you know, we can all attest to that. Like, I only missed one meeting. She was like, well, that's not why I left. Mm-hmm. Oh, so since that didn't work, you're going to keep trying to jig me. I get it. He lost $30,000. I get it. But you stayed. Did you stay? You know what I said?
Yeah, she stayed. Yeah, because he made a promise that he wouldn't fuck up.
Who was
like
lead
that
counsel?
again.
Who was lead counsel? He was.
Yeah.
And if she was smart enough, that's why she wasn't lead counsel, because she would have stayed if she was that smart. And that's a talking point.
Maybe he became lead counsel because she pushed him and wanted the best for him. I thought that it was that was one of my problems with the end, is that he walks away from her and to go to Vegas. Like,
he didn't walk away from her. He tried one more time. He was like, I'm talking about us.
He already had his eyes set on the horizon for the West. He was,
and she had her set on her eyes in what she saw on him, not the horizon. Her eyes in what she saw on him. That's wordplay for you.
We won't get it. This is not going to become a Killmonger thing. So we will just agree that you think she's the devil, and I think she's a saint.
Well, you know who won't be getting best artist for this film?
Hey, she played it good.
Oh, no, she did. I won't take that from her. She did.
All right, you ready to move on?
I guess. Not emotionally, but picture-wise, yes.
Find us in all these links. It's coming up right now.
That's the trailer.